Back in March 1997, something special was being cooked up by Acclaim and Iguana Entertainment. Yeah, you probably got it. The classic N64 shooter, Turok the Dinosaur Hunter, hit store shelves around that time. The title was met with critical and commercial praise from games media and gamers alike. It was lauded for its, at the time, great polygonal graphics, excellent weapon variety, and open levels. And going back to the original Nintendo 64 version of the game today is, well, there's a bit of a learning curve and there's some issues. But thankfully for fans that want to relive the original, have a chance to, now on a Nintendo console, thanks to the remaster of Turok arriving on the Switch. This is Danny from the Famicast, and this is my review of Turok on the Nintendo Switch. Now, Turok on the Switch is a completely modern remake of the original game, and with a modern controller comes a modern control scheme. Gameplay in this remaster feels fluid and extremely accurate. The dual analog handling feels really great, and it really makes it feel like a whole new experience here. Gyro Aiming can also be enabled here, which kind of helps fine-tune the aiming. Simply put, handling here in Turok has never felt better. Graphically, Turok actually looks pretty good. Now, of course, this is clearly a pretty old game. The character models, environments, textures, they all look a little bit dated. However, this whole new sheen with the widescreen 1080p resolution and 60 frames a second, I feel really breathed new life into this whole experience. Another thing too, the infamous fog from yesteryear has also been toned down quite a bit by default, so now you can actually finally see the environments and incoming enemies. The animations here are pretty cool too, and I can never get enough of watching the humanoid characters grabbing at their necks, trying to stop the flow of blood leaving their bodies. The sound here too has also been a bit cleaned up and seems pretty clear. And from a presentation standpoint, this is really first rate. There are also a wealth of options that can be tinkered with in this remaster. You can see here gameplay options. You can toggle withdrawal distance, toggling death cinematics, weapon bobbing, head bobbing. For graphics, you can deal with the bloom effect, water refraction, field of view. There are various audio language options here too, and you can also access the cheat system like you could back in the day. So there's really a lot of stuff to mess with here. Now, with all of that said, the controls here are great, visuals are pretty great. Level design is something where Turok really starts to show its age. The stages are very open, and almost to a fault. I'm sure it's nice that games kind of moved away at this time from these corridor shooting experiences that we all know, but scrounging these levels for keys to progress further in the game is just kind of a bit of a grind to me. I mean, yeah, it does kind of help extend the amount of time that you'll be spending with the game, but in this day and age, we might associate this more with padding, more so than anything. I mean, some gamers might be fine with this, but for me personally, I wasn't a huge fan. I get it, that's just kind of how games were back then, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. Now, with us being a Japan-based YouTube channel, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the Japan connection here. Not much of one, but I just wanted to talk about it anyways. So Turok was originally released on the N64 in Japan, not too terribly long after it was released in the West. It came out in late May 1997, a couple months after it came out in the West. It was published by Acclaim Japan and had a localized title of Jiku Senshi Turok, which could be roughly translated into English as Time and Space Warrior Turok. And it wasn't really a huge seller here, but it did manage to sell around 50,000 copies, and I guess people up top figured this was good enough to eventually release Turok 2 here as well, and which they did. It came out here as Violence Killer, Turok New Generation, and that came out like about 6 months after the original version came out in the West, and it was from a completely different publisher as well. Back to Turok on the Switch. So, Turok is fast, it looks great, it runs super smooth, there's so many different things that you can customize. The only thing that really holds the game back for me is kind of this archaic level design, having to search around for the keys. Also, one thing I would have loved to see here too is a little bit more of a robust save system, i.e. the ability to save anywhere. Okay, I'm kind of just nitpicking a little bit here. That's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to knock the game too much for that. Keys and all of that stuff aside, I will say that this is a really good version of Turok, probably the best version of the original game that you can play, and it's on a Nintendo system now too, so there you go. So if you're feeling like picking this game up just for nostalgia purposes, or you're just curious, I don't think it's a bad pickup. Final score for Turok on the Nintendo Switch, 7 out of 10. As always, thank you for checking out this video. If you like what you see, please consider giving us a like. If you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe. We got tons of podcasts, video reviews, special videos, and a whole lot more. Again, this has been Danny from the Famicast. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.